All right, well, we've got a really fun thing today. So we've got some shirts that are just mock-ups created by ChatGPT. So we're literally working backwards. Instead of having a design and then making a mock-up from it, we've actually got a mock-up that we're going to try to make a design from. And you see a lot of that these days. You know, people are just trying to design a cool shirt and they're using ChatGPT and they come up with something that looks great, and ChatGPT or whatever AI they're working with actually renders it on a shirt. Well, now we need to get it back off of there. So that's what we're doing today. And oftentimes the solution for that is just more ChatGPT. So I've actually pulled open that mock-up and I've just isolated this one part. You know, I've just cropped in on it and I've copied it and pasted it and I pasted it right in here. And I'm saying, I'm trying to isolate the RED, and I put the dots too. I want a highly detailed, slightly distressed recreation of this design, isolated, black against white, suitable for vector chasing, just the letters. Now we're just going to choose create image and see what we get. And this is what we got. And I think it's great. So I don't know how perfect it is, but it looks fine to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and download that. And we're going to bust open Inkscape. Now there's been a bug lately where I haven't been able to actually pull something straight out of ChatGPT and put it straight into Inkscape. So I'm just going to run it through Upscale. That's also going to give me a little more detail on all that distress. Preserve a little bit more of that. Because it's rendering it larger, it's going to make it easier for the detail to come through and for it to be traced, okay? So I'm just going to start a new document in Inkscape. I'm going to take the output of that upscale, so it's right back in that same folder, plop it in, hit OK, and then we're just going to go to Path, Trace Bitmap, and I've just got the image selected. If it doesn't show up here, make sure you just click on it and hit Apply. And then we're just going to delete that layer that has the image and be left with just the path. So this is all broken up. It's got the nodes. It's a vector object now. And to finish this up, we're just going to hit Control-Shift-R. That's the same as going to File, Document Properties, and choosing Resize to Content. If you have something selected, it'll select right around that actual object. If nothing's selected, it'll just find the bounds of the drawing. So this is a great moment to get organized. We really need to start a folder, and we've got several different designs here. So this one, we need to come up with a name for it. So I've decided to call it Red Flag Full Front. And I'm just going to take that mock-up, put it in that folder. I'm going to come in here, and I'm actually going to just call something, I'm going to call it Pieces. And then I'm also going to make a folder called Concept. And I'm just going to put that concept in the folder. And then Pieces is where I'm going to start storing my artwork that I create, the different pieces that I've created. So we're going to File, Save this as. And so I'm going to put it in that folder. I'm going to put it in my Pieces. And I'm just going to call it RED Logo Black. And it's an SVG. Save. Now I'm just going to clean up the pieces that we don't need anymore. Awesome. All right, let's work on the next part. This one I'm a little bit worried about. I'm not sure exactly how to get that faded look of that flag, but I do know that we need the pattern first, so let's try to get that. So I'm just going to use the print screen tool. Well, if it wants to cooperate. So I've just done the print screen. I don't know if that's coming through in the recording, but I've got a selection. Okay, so with my little snippet pasted up here, I say, awesome job. Now see, sorry about that, something strange happened and I had to stop the recording. It was some YouTube video started playing in the background. Okay, great. So now I'm like, now see the faded tattered flag in the background. I need that isolated the same way. Make sure to render a complete flag, just the stars and stripes like the example. Render them distressed, but in high detail. Isolate the black design on white. So let's see what she can do with that. Normally I start a new chat, but if I'm deconstructing something that's going to be reused like this, I'm going to stay in this same chat, not for too long. You know, it's always a good idea to kind of start over when you're working with AI, but I'm going to try to stay in this one for a little while. And this is what we got. And I think I love it. All right. So let's bring that down. And let's pull that into our folder. Just staying organized. I'm going to put that in pieces. And let's look at our concept again. So we can't see what happens down here. But I have this feeling that it would be better if this wasn't quite so rigidly cut off here at the bottom. And I think I've got a plan on how to handle that. So let's try. All right, let's take this. We're going to upscale it. Go in here, just upscale away. We aren't going to go too big. Let's go 3x. There's a lot of little fine detail. I'm going to go 4. That's a lot bigger than I normally go when I'm going to trace something, but I could shrink it back down if I need to. Okay, so let's do some cleanup. So I'm going to go in here and just kind of clean this up. I'm switching my view to show large icons. So there's the one that we brought down. And then this one, we're going to call it our flag trace. So it's like the thing we're going to trace. And let's open this up with Photoshop. So here we go. And I'm just going to use my magic wand. And I'm going to, contiguous is off. I'm going to go for a pretty high tolerance. Let's go like 80. And we're just going to select anywhere on the black. And that's going to give us all the black. And then we're going to do Control C, Control Shift V. And I'm just going to turn the background off here. We'll just delete this part. So what I'm looking for is just kind of like a little bit of a swoop. Not much, but just something. So I'm just going to kind of draw a line. So I'm going to take my fill off. Keep my stroke on. Yeah, we could use a nice orange color or something. It's just what's available there. Let's do 5 pixels. And let's just kind of draw what I'm thinking here. It's just like a little bit of a swoopage, you know, that just kind of follows. You know, just give ourselves something to go by, a little guideline. All right. And then let's work on this. So I'm just going to select all of this. So I'm just circling the part that I'm selecting. And what I'm thinking is we could just take this, and it's not going to hurt anything to just kind of squish it. So I'm grabbing this layer, hitting Control T. You know, if we just squish this a little bit up, I'm holding Shift, which is letting it deform. Let's just kind of squish that up. And then I'm trying to do, well, I need to hit Enter. That's what it is. Then Control D. And then I'm just going to cut some of it off. So I'm just going to kind of make it follow that path. So I just kind of varied my line and hit Delete. Boom. Awesome. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'll turn this off. I can leave it on. It's not hurting anything. And I'll do the same thing on this side. So I'm just going to do Control T and squish it. Hit Enter, Control D, and then let's just cut a little bit of it off. So it just kind of follows that. Has that same kind of up on that side. All right, so I'm liking what we're doing. I'm just going to select this. We'll do the same thing. Just kind of follow our little guideline there. I don't think that I need to cut any of it off on that one. I feel like that's fine. And we can let these two be long. We could even let this third one be long. Let's just do this one right here. I just think it's going to look better. And I don't know that, I don't know if I'm honoring the flag. I always feel so weird doing a distress flag. It just kind of feels wrong for some reason. But yeah, see, I just think that kind of gives it a little bit of something, a little bit of artistry to those things that ChatGPT didn't quite give us. Okay, and then we're definitely just going to trace this. So let's put a solid color. We're going to put a solid color of white behind this. Not that we need to trace, it's just going to let me look at it a little bit better. And let's turn off that shape. All right, great. Actually, let's just merge all these down, Control E, and hit Control S. And that's just going to save right back over that. It's going to save right back over that flag trace that we had before. Awesome. Let's pop open Inkscape. Same trick, we're going to do File New. I know you've already seen this step, but I think sometimes it helps to see it more than once. We're just dragging that image in, and then we're just going to go to our trace bitmap with it selected, hit Apply, and then we're just going to delete the image layer and be left with just that path. So that's just now a vector object, and it can be made any size we want it to be. So I did Control-Shift-R to fit it to the stage, and now I'm going to save that. And we will save it in our pieces. All right, so I've got that red logo. So now I'm going to call this red flag black. Okay, let's do a little housekeeping. So I'm just going to kind of close up some of these other documents that I've got open. And then it's a great time to, start a real Photoshop document. We got some elements done. All right, so I'm going to file, I'm going to save this as, and now this is where I'm going to put in the main folder here. So this is going to be, we're just going to name this the same. Boom. All right. I'm going to call it this, red flag full front. Yeah. And this is the front design, so that's fine. And we'll change this to PSD. We want to save a PSD. And then let's adjust our image size. So let's see what we're working with here. I'm going to set this, turn off resample and set it to 300. And I do need a little more width than this just because there is wasted space on the sides. So I'm just going to go ahead and do something like, let's change this to 20. We'll turn resample on and we'll set it to 20. Not going crazy, but still nice and big. Okay, so let's pull in a reference. So let's go back to our concepts. I'm just going to go back to that concept folder. And we're just going to pull this reference in. And we're going to make it really big. Because we want it to sort of, it's not going to look good. Hold on. I don't want to hold shift while I'm doing that. We want to make this nice and big. So that we got something to look at here as we try to line this stuff up. We're trying to stay true. Okay. That's what we're going with there. Okay. And you see me kind of fighting the two different things that I desire. And one, I want to be close to the edges, but also I want to make sure I've got lots of room. That's why we made that larger image larger than we needed it to be. Okay. So let's start setting this up. Let's bring in, we're going to go for our pieces now. And we'll bring in that flag. Drop it on. Okay, and that's sort of working out. I'm going to make it, yeah, we'll hit enter on that. Yeah, I'm digging it. And then we'll bring in that red logo. We'll make that a little smaller here. Bring that up. I'm going to take the flag. I'm going to take all three of these elements and just scale them in a little bit. Just so that we're not right on the edge. And scoot it up just slightly. Alright. Yeah, and that red's lining up pretty good. All this is lining up pretty good. And I think there's a decision to be made to kind of offset this slightly. So we're going to take this flag. Oops. I'm holding shift. I'm trying to slide it to the right. I don't know what my problem is. Yeah, there we go. Broke free. Yeah, we'll just offset this just a little bit. Ooh, I love the way those stripes just lined up with that D and that R. I did not intend that, but I think it's fantastic. Now let's turn these off and see how things worked over here. So yeah, the stripes really stopped at the bottom there. So let's just turn that back on and let's take a look at this. Let's give ourselves some more room. Let's just give us more canvas size. We don't want to go crazy with canvas size, but we already have kind of gone crazy. So I'll anchor at the top. I'll give us some more room at the bottom. And let's look at moving this flag down a bit. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. I think that placement's better for me. Okay. So I'm going to take these two and group them, and I'm going to call this artwork. So everything that's like outside of this folder is really ultimately going to be junk. Don't even need this layer anymore. Let's get rid of it. Okay, and then we're just going to work on this. Oh, I did that so I can easily turn this off. Let's pull this color. And then let's pull for the background. Let's pull this color. I mean, it's really odd to think about putting a red on red, but I'm not sure how else we're going to get that faded look. So let's just put those colors on these two items. So here's our logo. We're going to right click and we're going to do blending options. We're going to do color overlay. And then we're going to pick that kind of faded black. It's a gray. And then we're going to do blending options on this one. We're going to do color overlay. And we're going to pick that red. Yeah. I think that's going to work for us. Okay, and then let's find a red. And we're just going to put a red solid color layer. And I'll just put that right here. So I'm going to kind of see red on red here. Cool. I think that's working. I think that's really working. And I love how this is lined up. I mean, it looks quite intentional. Yeah. I might take this flag and just ever so slightly scoot it out. I like how that lines up better with that D. And we really don't want to stretch things. And if we do stretch things, we just barely want to do it. But let's see if we can't just get away with a little bit. We don't want to distort those stars. But a little bit of that, and it just all looks so intentional now. And the red logo centered, so this is slightly off. And that's cool. Okay, let's work on this text. So I'm just going to turn off my artwork. And I'm going to grab my text tool. And we're going to set the color to white. And we're going to find... What's League Spartan? That actually sounds like it's just about right. Oh, I can't see it because it's in the artwork layer. So I'm going to pull it above it for now. Yeah, no, that's too thick. Let's see what our style is. So we've got our little character window here. So it's set to black. Let's try it on medium. I mean, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I think we just lucked into this. So let's do about 130%. So with 130% on the vertical scaling. And let's just line this up. And I like how this works. It's kind of like the remember, starts at the front of the R. And then the everyone would line up with the E. So let's just make that happen. We'll turn our artwork back on. I'm going to just set a ruler right here. Ooh, it's really wanting to attach to that. Let's attach to this. And then we'll put another ruler right there. I'm going to turn this back off because it's distracting me. Let's put one right here. And let's put one right here. All right. And we'll take this and see. Oops. We'll select that. And we'll just make that sit right on there. And now I'm going to turn the artwork layer back off and get my reference back out. Okay, so it's a little bit too big. That's getting close. Close enough for me. Alright, let's finish that text. So now we're just going to do Ember and then a period. And I should have had it left aligned if I wanted to preserve my placement. So I got that fixed now. Just line her back up. Awesome. And I'm actually going to go ahead and duplicate that. So I just duplicated that text layer. We'll set it here. And then we're going to do everyone. And then duplicate it again. And that's a really nice feature of Photoshop, that it names your layers for you. And then this is supposed to say deployed. Boom. Okay. Let's see how that lines up with our artwork. And let's put our red layer back on so we can see it. Remember, everyone deployed. I don't think we've made any typos there. All right, so now I'm going to take these three and group them. And I'm going to call it white text. And then we're just going to pull this down, and that's going to sit on top of everything. Wow, I think we're pretty much done with this design. Okay, it's a good time to save. And now let's render something that's a final. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. We're using all vector objects. So we really don't have to worry too much about any semi-transparency. There's not any semi-transparency, except there could be a little bit just from Photoshop's like natural anti-aliasing. So what we're going to do is we're going to just merge this entire layer. Let's just merge the group. Nope, I'm going to leave it open because we're going to set our size. Let's do our trim. We're going to trim in. So now we don't have any wasted space on the sides. And then we're going to go ahead and set our size. So we're letting our vector object scale to the exact size what we're going to render at. And I had a feeling that we were going to be taller than we are wide by quite a lot. So I'm going to go 19 because that's the max height that I ever do. So max width that I ever do is 15. But since this is going to be too tall at 15, I'm going to stick with my max height of 19. All right. I mean, you can print bigger than that. That's just what I do. I just don't do that. All right. And now we're just going to merge this group. Boom. And then we're going to go ahead and do layer mask from transparency. Alt select the mask. And then we're going to do image adjustments threshold. And threshold that artwork so that we have like a perfect stair-step design. So, you know, there's no pixel on this artwork now that's not either fully white or fully black, you know, so fully opaque or fully transparent. And this is going to be our final. So we're going to export it, export as PNG, and this also goes right out here in the main folder. So right out here where we saved the PSD file. And so I usually use the width here. So I'm just going to look and see what this is, image size. So the width in pixels is 3800. Okay, great. So I'm just going to do File, Export, Quick Export as PNG in the folder. 3800 PX RTP lets us know that's ready to print. And I'm just going to put my name. Boom. All right. Well, that's the first of our designs done. We got to do the back now.